Today on the Commanders Report, I'm going to be breaking down the top free agents that are still available on the open market that can still help the Washington Commanders become a better football team in 2025. Before we get into all of the content today, make sure you guys go ahead and share today's video either on your social media or sending this video to somebody in your life that is a Commanders fan and think would enjoy our content. It's word of mouth referrals like that really help us grow our channel, guys. So if there's Commanders fans in your life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's coworkers, or whether you're just sharing it on your social media, we greatly appreciate everybody that shares our video. So click the share button below this video, put it on your social media, or send it to somebody that is a Commanders fan that you think would enjoy our content here at the Commanders Report. So some of the positions that I think the Commanders could still add some depth in, or maybe even potentially some starters in NFL free agency, are safety, edge rusher, left guard, or right tackle, and then potentially wide receiver. These are the positions that we'll talk about on today's show. So let's just dive right into the first position that is listed there, which is safety. Of course, you got Quan Martin as your starting free safety. I don't expect that to change from a year ago, but you did lose Jeremy Chinn to the Las Vegas Raiders, and as a result, you end up bringing in Will Harris, who is currently slated to be this team's starting strong safety. You do have Percy Butler as a backup free safety, and Jeremy Reeves right now as your backup strong safety and special teams ace. So the question is Will Harris good enough of it as a player to be your starting strong safety heading into next season? Well, we'll take a look at his profile here. He's a very athletic person, guys. Take a look at his relative athletic score back in 2019 when he was coming out of Boston College. He's got some really nice speed, 4.4 speed, and some really good acceleration as well at his size. He had a 9.65 overall relative athletic score when he was coming out of BC. Back in 2019, he ended up getting drafted by the Detroit Lions. And last year, Will Harris played more snaps than he had in his entire NFL career with the New Orleans Saints, where he racked up 74 tackles, 1 interception, and then 5 pass breakups. He kind of played more in a rotational type of role, in a versatile role. He played in the slot, he played in the box, he played at free safety. He certainly has the size to play in the box. He's got the speed to play free safety, and now he's got the experience playing in the slot. So I'm hoping that the Washington Commanders view him more as a versatile chess piece that can move all over the formation, but maybe not necessarily a bona fide every down starter, because you take a look at his career Pro Football Focus grades, and listen, man, Pro Football Focus grading is not gospel, but I think it's a good tool to look at to see how is someone performing on film, because Pro Football Focus has people make these grades based on what they're seeing on each player's film, and you take a look at the numbers here, and they're not that impressive. The last 2 seasons where he has been healthy, he was injured in 2023, but 2022 and 2024 was his best grading seasons, but he's still only ranking 63rd and 64th among around 100 NFL safeties every year. And before that, he was grading in the 40s and 50s, all right? So this is somebody that I think brings some good versatility, can play in the slot, can play in the box, and can play center field as well. He's got the physical tools to do that, but I'm not sure if you are trusting him to be an every down starter that he is going to be the type of guy that's going to elevate that position from where Jeremy Chinn had it a season ago. And I would be more comfortable using Harris as a third safety, kind of a versatile chess piece that you can use in the defense. And I would rather go out and get a bona fide second starting safety, whether that be in the NFL draft or in NFL free agency. There's still some good safeties available on the open market. Justin Simmons, Julian Blackmon is taking a visit with the Carolina Panthers, so it's possible that he signs with them by the time this video does come out, so keep that in mind. But Von Bell has been a starter at strong safety for many years. Rayshon Jenkins the same way. Marcus Williams has played more free safety than strong safety in his career, but he's got the size to be able to play that position. Jordan Poyer's played in the box quite a bit in his career as well, even though he's under 200 pounds. Chuck Clark is an interesting one because he's 210 pounds, so he does have the size to play a true strong safety, and he's played pretty well throughout his career. And then Marcus May is another guy that's played a little bit more free safety in his career, but can play in the box if you ask him to. Now, out of this list, guys, out of the players that I would probably go out and get if I were the Commanders, I would love Justin Simmons to be paired up with Quan Martin in this secondary for the Washington Commanders. Simmons played more snaps in the box last year with the Atlanta Falcons than really any other point in his career previously. Jesse Bates is their true center fielder there in Atlanta, and he ended up signing on with the Falcons, and it still had a pretty darn good season, even though he played more snaps in the box than in any of his previous seasons with the Denver Broncos. So I think if you asked him to play that role here in Washington, he is a playmaker, he is a ball hawk, he has a lot of career interceptions. I think that is certainly a player that can help this Commanders team win some games. Now, last year, it took him a while to sign with the Atlanta Falcons, so it might happen again here where he doesn't sign until maybe even after the NFL draft this year. But if the Commanders are interested in getting a bona fide starting safety, Justin Simmons, I think, is the best available player left on the market. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Do you trust Will Harris as this team's starting strong safety this year? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Fanatics. And while I'm talking about Fanatics, do me a favor, give me a yes or a no for today's pinned comment. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Fanatics. And right now, you guys can get your Deebo Samuel jerseys right now from our friends at Fanatics. Plus, it helps out the show. Here's how it works, guys. You go to chatsports.com/Deebo. That is our link. It's in the comments and description of today's show. You click that link and you make a purchase for a Deebo Samuel jersey, and Fanatics is going to send us here at the Commanders Report part of the proceeds. So it really does help out the channel. So if you guys were expecting or if you guys were planning on getting a Deebo Samuel jersey anyway, help out the channel while you do it as well by going to chatsports.com/Deebo right now and take care of that business right now. All right, now let's get to the edge rusher position, because right now I think that this unit is really missing a number one piece. Right now, Dorrance Armstrong fills that role. Dietrich Wise is a decent piece at edge rusher. They added Jacob Martin, who's a decent rotational piece this year as well, and they did bring back Cleveland Ferrell for early down work. But I think that it's fair to say that this unit is missing a true number one, and if they can get a number one guy in their building, I think that would be something that can elevate this Commanders defense past where they were last year, where they really had some trouble getting production out of this unit. And the one guy that really did produce, at least in terms of a pass rushing perspective, Dante Fowler Jr., who had 10.5 sacks last year, ended up leaving the team to go back to the Dallas Cowboys. So let's hope that the Washington Commanders can make a big splash at edge rusher. And right now, the guy that's being talked about in trade rumors is none other than Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, there's also rumors that the Bengals and Hendrickson are working on a new deal to keep him in Cincinnati long term. And after the Myles Garrett kind of situation where we thought that Garrett had a really good chance of being traded to the Commanders, he ended up going back to Cleveland. If that happens again here and Hendrickson goes back to Cincinnati, you might be looking at free agency and the draft to fill that number one edge rusher spot if you are GM Adam Peters. The top available edges currently available on the open market. Von Miller is still out there, obviously former superstar edge rusher that can still play. You got Matthew Judon, who had a big-time down year with the Atlanta Falcons last year, man. Like, they traded for him, and he was not very good, but he's a good scheme fit with what Dan Quinn usually likes out of his defensive ends. Preston Smith is another guy with a ton of starting experience. Same thing with Zadarius Smith. DeMarcus Walker is kind of a bigger defensive end. And, I think that the guys on the right are maybe not quite as suited to maybe be a number one edge rusher as the guys on the left. But honestly, guys, there's a reason why all 8 of these edge rushers are still available in NFL free agency. Then we'll shift our focus here to the offensive trenches here. And I think a big question as to what position the Commanders still need to fill on their offensive line is what exactly is the plan with Brandon Coleman? Do they put him at left guard or do they put him at right tackle? And I think that the answer to that question kind of determines whether this team could still add a left guard or a right tackle, whichever one this team doesn't plan on playing the second-year player out of TCU. And it's also worth remembering here that the team did restructure Andrew Wiley's contract as well. He can also kick into guard. He had his best seasons in the National Football League as a guard. He has played the last 2 years at right tackle here with Washington, and honestly, it has not been phenomenal. So personally, if I'm the Washington Commanders, I am planning on putting Brandon Coleman at right tackle, and then I'm planning on putting Andrew Wiley at left guard, but there's certainly some other options out there that could compete with Wiley and Nick Allegretti to be this team's starting left guard next season. Brandon Scheriff, former Washington Commander, could definitely come back to the team. A good veteran option. You got Will Hernandez, who played the early years of his career at left guard, then shifted over to right guard. He's been pretty decent in terms of Pro Football Focus grading, and he is still available. John Feliciano has been a part of some very successful offensive lines there with the San Francisco 49ers, and Dalton Reisner is also a bigger name that is available on the open market. But if they decide to put Brandon Coleman at left guard and they're looking for a new right tackle to potentially replace Andrew Wiley, or at least compete with Andrew Wiley, these are the top available tackles on the market right now. Most of these guys are more swing tackle types. These are people that maybe haven't played their best football over the last several years and are looking for an opportunity to bounce back. But Trent Scott, if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't love him as a swing tackle. After losing Cornelius Lucas to the Browns in free agency, I'd feel more comfortable with Trent Scott being more of like a swing guard than a swing tackle. He played a lot better on the inside last year than he did on the outside. So I would still be open to the Commanders signing some sort of swing tackle this year in case Andrew Wiley, Brandon Coleman, or hopefully not Laramie Tunsil. He traded a ton for him, but hopefully, these guys can stay healthy, and hopefully you can really fill out this group with players that can play and can be injury-proof throughout the season. So let me know down there in the comment section, where should Brandon Coleman play next season? Where should this team play that second-year player out of TCU? Type RT if you think they should move him to the other side, to the other tackle spot, or type LG if you think he should be the new starting left guard for the Washington Commanders. And now another big question that is going to be answered in the coming weeks is, could the Washington Commanders add another wide receiver before the NFL draft? Because they have re-signed some players, and of course they made that big trade for Deebo Samuel. Terry McLaurin, I do expect to get a massive contract extension some point this offseason. Deebo Samuel is somebody that's going to be slotting in as that number 2 wide receiver, as kind of that, guy that's going to run a lot of intermediate digs. He's going to do a lot of stuff in the early down wide receiver screen game that Cliff Kingsbury loves to run so much. He's an excellent run blocker. They might even use him on orbit motions and all this different creative stuff that Cliff likes to do with multiple players in the backfield. But they brought back Noah Brown, who was having a pretty darn good season before his injury. They like him a lot with the size that he brings to the table. And then they also drafted Luke McCaffrey in the 3rd round last year, somebody that really showed his chops on special teams with his ability to make people miss, with the ball in his hands in open space, but didn't really get on the field a whole lot in terms of a true wide receiver role. So it's interesting to see what their plan is for McCaffrey heading into his sophomore season. But if they decided that they wanted another veteran piece to add to this group, there's still some pretty good wide receivers on the open market. Stephon Diggs coming off a major injury. Could they think about bringing him in as a kind of route running extraordinaire? You got Keenan Allen, kind of a bigger player that specializes in the slot with his route running. Amari Cooper honestly did not have his best season last year with the Buffalo Bills and Cleveland Browns. He's looking to bounce back this year. Deontay Johnson was very much in a similar vein. Struggled in Carolina, and then he was bouncing around the league after he got traded to the Baltimore Ravens. So will he find a spot? It seems like his reputation around the league has certainly taken a dip. And then Tyler Lockett is somebody that's older, but he's a big-time deep threat. Could you pair him up with Jaden Daniels, who's got an excellent deep ball? I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that if I'm the Washington Commanders. But at the end of the day, guys, I think that what they need to do is they need to get younger in the wide receiver room. Terry McLaurin is 30 years old, all right? Deebo Samuel is approaching 30 years old as well. Those guys are not getting any younger, okay? And I think that if you can get a good wide receiver, sometime within the first 2 days of the NFL draft to fill out the coffers here, have something available to Jaden Daniels to grow with in the first few years of his career, to grow with and to develop with. I think that'd be really good third addition to this wide receiver room. And I like Noah Brown a hell of a lot more as a wide receiver 4 option than as a wide receiver 3 option. And I think this team could certainly use a younger wide receiver presence that they could get in the first 2 days of the NFL draft. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comment section. Name a free agent of any position that you would love to see the Washington Commanders add this offseason. It could be somebody we talked about today. It could be somebody that I missed. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. We're into the third week of free agency here in the National Football League, but there's still a lot of good players out there. So let me know which one you want to be a Commander this year. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of today's show. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow with Commanders Report Live. Me and Joey Peterson will be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not be late. We've got my latest Commanders mock drafts with 7 rounds of Commanders picks for you guys. We got the latest news and rumors and so much more coming your way tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.